Hey, art nerds! So, my younger brother is graduating from college, and he and my mom asked if I would mind decorating his graduation cap. I'm really excited to do it because neither UNO nor SCAD, believe it or not, allowed me to decorate my own graduation cap, and I really wanted to do it. So, I'm really glad that my brother asked me, and I'm glad that Nichols is allowing them to do so. So, my younger brother is a PSET, that's a petroleum engineering grad. He is a volunteer firefighter looking to go pro firefighter, and he is a huge fan of Gundam. When we were younger, my brother and I used to watch a lot of Gundam together. Gundam Wing, G Gundam, War in the Pocket, 0080. We watched a lot of Gundam together. And he's still a huge Gundam enthusiast now, so I decided I would do a firefighting Gundam on his graduation cap since he wants to pursue firefighting professionally. Now, what's really cool is that the Japanese fire department, like the whole national thing, their mascot is a Gundam. So I kind of took inspiration from that, but I wanted to design my own thing. And I'm going to show you guys a picture of my sketch in a moment. So my plan for his cap is I don't want to draw on the cap itself. So originally I was going to use the Stonehenge Aqua black watercolor paper, but it's just too soft to work with POSCAs, which is what I want to use. So instead I'm using the Strathmore black mixed media paper, and I have an idea of how this is going to go down, but I know things will probably change as we progress. So my plan for today is I want to get this paper cut down to size. I want to remove a hole for where the tassel knob is going to go. I want to do kind of a test run to make sure the black mixed media paper will adhere decently well to the cap. You guys can kind of see why I didn't want to paint on the cap itself. And then I'm kind of hoping to print out my sketch and do a graphite transfer onto the cap. And I plan on tightening my sketch either with a white mechanical pencil that I have. It uses a ceramic lead, but I honestly think I could probably get away with using blue or yellow colored leads on this hat. So the cap is 9.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches wide, and I purchased a pad of 10 by 14 Strathmore black mixed media paper for this. Now what's really nice about the black mixed media paper is I've already done some POSCA testing on a smaller pad, and it seems to take the POSCA really well. And there's our little POSCA test. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use a paper cutter to cut our black mixed media paper down to size. So I have my ruler. I can actually move the cap out of the way for now. I have my black paper, and I have a paper cutter, and this is a Carl rotary paper cutter. That means it uses a circular blade. It's not the best, but it works pretty well, and I cut a lot of paper, so it's handy to have something like that. Our black mixed media paper is, I could have gone with maybe like black poster board, but black mixed media paper is good too. And we're going to grab a pencil. You could use a lighter color pencil if you want to. This one just has plain graphite lead in it. And we want to measure, let's move the paper cutter off my fairly small desk space for right now. It's also nice to be able to talk to you guys again in real time. Most of my recordings have been in post. So we're going to measure, want to line everything up on both sides. We want 9.5. We'll go down some, and it's super faint. That's exactly what I want. 9.5. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line. And what we want to do, we have 4 dots. We want to connect at least 3 of them. And it seems like I got off track somewhere. Let's try that again. Usually I prefer to use clear rulers, but all of my clear rulers are in metric. So I would have had to measure the hat in metric. All right, let's do it again. 9.5. Nine and a half. Nice thing about doing it on a different surface than the hat itself is the hat itself seems to be made from a fairly cheap polyester. So I don't really think it's going to take the POSCA super well. They also charge a lot of money for such a cheap hat. If I ruined his, I could probably get my graduation cap and just sub it out. I think I might still have it. I don't know. May have gotten rid of it. Can only keep so many things. And we're gonna really cross our fingers and hope that this is the right size. I mean, whoa. So that noise you guys just heard was like the 6 watercolor sets Allie loaned me to review. They've all been stacked up on my side table waiting for me to have time. All right, that is just right. Okay, so now we have to accommodate for the little tassel nubble. And this is the cap, and if I remember correctly, this is the front, my graduation souvenir. You would really think for all the money, no, this is the front, for all the money that they charge for these stupid things, they would give you a better product. But no, it's like the wedding industry. They can give you just literal garbage and you'll pay for it, because what can you do about it? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to flip it over. And I'm going to draw and this is going to give me my center. You can do this, use this to find the center of any square object or rectangular object. So that is our center, and that's what we're going to need to cut out, and that's where we're really going to have a bit of a problem. So I want to cut something slightly larger than this button, because this button doesn't really have a lot of give, and it's really just better if I cut larger. And then I plan on adhering it to the cap using double stick tape. That way it can be removed just in case. I am a big plan B kind of gal, and this really seems like a situation where a plan B is a good plan. So one of my concerns is I cannot cut a circle to save my life. I can barely cut a straight line with an Exacto blade. So what I'm going to want to do, and this is not something you can have that looks just crummy, you know, like this needs to look good. So this I think will be, it's a good, yeah, it's perfect. It's a good template. It's actually going to be a little bit larger, and it's just like a cheap Dollar Tree. It actually works out really good because I can line up the manufacturing dot. Haha! We've got a circle! Then I'm going to grab a cheap piece of chipboard. This is just from the back of like a sketchbook. I actually have a swivel blade, but I'm even worse with my swivel blade than I am with my Exacto blade. Now y'all don't need me to narrate while I'm using an Exacto blade, so I'll check in with you guys after I have it cut. Alright, so, hey, it's not the best circle, but it's okay. It is an okay circle. It's a little bigger than I wanted. But you know what? This might work. Gotta think about it. See, I could do this all over again and a smaller one, but this one, it fits pretty neatly over it. Now, the next thing I wanted to do before I committed is I wanted to see if double stick tape, and I'm not actually gonna do it on this paper, I'm gonna do it with a scrap. because I think it's going to ruin the paper if I remove it, and it's going to ruin the adhesiveness of the tape. But I don't think it's going to ruin the hat. So we would need a lot, but it sticks on pretty firm. It's on pretty good. Like, obviously, if you want to rip it off, you can rip it off, but it doesn't seem to ruin the fabric itself, and it seems to come off. In fact, I mean, it's probably adhesive enough that I could stick it on again. So, all right, tests are successful. Our next thing I need to do is I need to print our sketch, which I showed you guys earlier. I'll show you guys again. I need to print our sketch onto some white paper and do a graphite transfer. Okay, so I am going to be printing using my Canon Pro 9000 Mark II, but honestly, you can use any paper that takes 8.5 by 11 regular old paper. You don't need special whatever for that. I've gone ahead and I resized this. Now, our limitation is our 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I want a really thin paper. I guess I could have printed it on tracing paper, but I don't know. Sometimes that has its own problems. But I'm using just regular printer paper for this because I'm going to do a graphite transfer onto the cap. And you want a thin paper because it's easier to do a transfer with. Now, if you have legal paper, that might work better. I don't. So, here is my sketch. It has been rotated. It's also been cropped to fit our 11 by 8.5 sheet of paper. So it's 7.907 by 9 because our hat is, actually I could go bigger. Let's go a little bigger. I want this to actually fit the hat. The hat was 9.5. Let's see what we get. Okay, so maybe we should do 8.3. That should work because this printer does not do a great job of printing borderless. And you guys can see I have everything kind of color coordinated in the sketch. And I want to point this out because somebody told me the Gundam looked kind of weird. And I'm gonna get like real herf derf. Well, actually, like they said it looked like a Zaku. I get where you're coming from, but a lot of aquatic Gundams do have ventilators, and since my brother is a firefighter, ventilators are pretty important when you're going into fires. So I decided to add a ventilator to the Gundam to make it more personalized to his needs. The Gundam that the Japanese fire department has as their mascot, it's just a regular Gundam. I didn't want to just go with like a copy of that. I wanted to do something that was more representative of my younger brother and his interest and American fire departments. So the helmet has been adjusted as well. So it is not your standard Gundam. I haven't watched as much Gundam as like a real true born in the flesh Gundam fan. I like Gundams, I like mechs. We just finished Gundam Unicorn, but like my favorite Gundam is G Gundam, you know? Like I'm not in it for the space politics, I'm in it for the ridiculous space battles. And my first Gundam was Gundam Wing, which is not at all indicative of like true Gundam fan tastes. So like, yes, I'm aware it doesn't look like your bog standard Gundam. That is my point. I don't want it to. And now I gotta select the right printer and change all the settings. Looks like it'll just fit. Just fit. I don't know, maybe before assuming somebody's wrong, you should ask like what their intention was or what they were going for. Okay, yeah, I think everything else looks good. Like, just pro tip, don't correct people until you have talked to them and you get where they're coming from, because maybe your suggestion is not helpful. Hit and print. It's going to take a minute because it's been a little while since I've printed with this printer. And even though this is a more expensive artist printer, I've used the Heckaroonie out of this. If you're looking for a large format printer for your comic specific needs, like printing blue lines, there's a large format 3-in-1 brother printer that I used to use that's also really good. I have a whole blog post on recommended printers for artists that you guys can check out. I'll drop a link to that in the description below, but you can also just search for like printers at natosoup.blogspot.com. In fact, I recommend you do. There's all kinds of really good stuff over there. Doing the print dance, I would dance, but I'm holding a camera, and I don't want it to make people sick. Doop doop doop. It's the printer dance. I could probably just pause it while it does all of its thinking. That is a thing I could do. Now, I might be overcomplicating this. Lots of people do decorated grad caps, and they approach it very, very straightforward. I might be way overcomplicating that. We'll see. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it on black mixed media paper, and I'm doing it ahead of time. So if I goof, if I mess up, if I'm like, oh, this is the worst method ever, I have time and I haven't ruined the original. Though I bet I could find grad caps on Amazon for cheaper. The graduation industry and the wedding industry are such rackets. Come on, little printer. I believe in you. Not so little printer, actually. Come on, big printer. I believe in you. I guess I could have done this on my toner printer. Oh, it's going to tell me my inks are too low. So, alright. I'll check in with you guys after it's actually printing. Alright, took some finagling, but I think we've about got it. Very slowly. You know, I do a lot of work traditionally, but if it wasn't for digital steps, digital processing, it would be so much harder for me to do what I do. So I try to point out to you guys when I do have a digital step, you know, when possible, just to kind of get rid of that notion that digital and traditional are so divorced. You can really do both. It's not impossible. Oh, here comes fresh baked out of the oven. Probably could have gotten rid of the guidelines. It was probably not important, but it's a sketch. I don't really care. I'm just excited that it's gonna work. Oh yeah, look at that sketch. Sketchy sketch. Woo! Sketch. Woo! Alright, let's go ahead and do a graphite transfer. Okay, so we have our hat. We have our printout. One of the first things we need to do is we need to cut it out. Trimming that excess paper has two purposes. It allows us to place our image, and it also means we have less that we have to do a graphite transfer on. So what I want to do is I'm going to figure out where the hole is going to be, and then I'm going to use the pencil on this side, and I'm just going to really roughly draw them in because it's not actually that important. It's just important to know where it is, and that's why when I did my initial sketch, I planned for it, because I had Joseph look at the sketch originally that had a tassel. Everything was shifted over about 2 inches, so those of you who are adults can imagine how that looked, and Joseph pointed out that the tassel might come out at a very interesting place that perhaps the graduating party might appreciate but not find appropriate for graduation. And I laughed really hard, and I was like, I'm gonna fix that. We're not gonna have him graduate with that going on. So, placement is important. Alright, back to our wonderful chipboard, and I have here a piece of Create-A-Color graphite. It's probably like 6H, so it's a really soft graphite, and I'm really just going to cover the entire back of this. Okay, so we have got the entire back covered with graphite. have some low tack washi tape. We really want something low tack because we don't want it tearing up the paper surface. Now we're gonna line our... It looks so small, but that's okay because I wanna make sure... Oh, I can't find it. Okay, there we go. Wish I could like pin it, but I can't. I'm gonna fill the rest in as we go. This is, after all, just a sketch. And it also needs to say Davin Hilburn 2019, which will actually go really nicely right there. No. Don't want to move. So if we still have comments on this, I'm hoping we can. I hope YouTube won't be like, this is a video for kids. Like, Riri, it's a graduation cap. Like, what, 8th grade graduation? Anyway, snips now. I was just going to say something about comments, and then I distracted myself. Something about your graduation caps. If you guys decorated your graduation cap, I'd love to see it. If you have it on Insta, let me know in the comments below. Don't just drop a link, but just be like, this is my cap, check it out, and then drop a link. Because if you just drop links, I'm not going to click them because I get all kinds of weird links sometimes. You wouldn't believe how many weird people send me weird things, even though they never see my face. Y'all don't know what I look like. Y'all know what I look like. But like, seriously, not that cute. Not that you should harass anyone, regardless of their looks. But like, really, an art YouTube? Y'all want to harass an art YouTube? Alright, so I've got it taped down. Now I'm going to go grab a graphite pencil, a heavier graphite pencil than this, and we're going to start tracing it over. And I'm going to do a little bit to show you guys, and I'm going to do the rest off camera and check in with y'all. And hopefully it will actually be visible on the black paper. Heavier pencil, as always. I know it looks really professional, it's aluminum, etc. This thing is giving me arthritis. So even every time I pull this pencil out now, I always do it with a disclaimer that please don't use this as your daily driver. Use something like this, use something like this. It's going to be easier on your hands. I know it doesn't look as cool, but it's a long run kind of thing. You're doing it for your long-term hand health. So what we're going to do is slight adjustments here and there, and I am putting some pressure. You saw the pencil snap. I am intentionally putting on some pressure because we want the graphite to transfer over onto the black paper. And I'm not going to show it to you just yet, just because I had a hard time placing this and I don't want it to be difficult. I'm also gonna point out my younger brother is more of a Xeon person in terms of suit design, so it was really a toss-up between doing a Gundam and a Zaku, or maybe even like a cute little firefighting ball or something. But in the end, I decided to go with a Gundam since Gundams are... I have a lot of sympathy for Xeon. I don't like their rationale, but I understand why they feel the way they feel. Taxation without representation. But anyway, generally, depending on the series, not always true, Gundams or the Federation is usually seen as like the good guys because they don't resort to really violent tactics. Of course, they're the ones who will hold all the power, so kind of don't have to. Anyway, we went with a Gundam. Let's just say this is like 0080, where we have good people on both sides. Speaking of, what's your favorite Gundam? I mentioned earlier that I really like Gundam. I like goofy Gundams. Like, I want to see, it's how I feel about Pokemon too. I want to see Gundams with you like, or I'm sorry, mechs, mobile suits. I want to see them put to like day-to-day civilian tasks, which is why the idea of a firefighting mobile suit is appealing. Like seeing them help people. Anyway, I want more of that. What are y'all watching? What do you like? My brother just finished Iron-Blooded Orphans and he really recommends it. War in the Pocket is good. I also like the kind of Gundams where the pilots are allowed to like have like a life a little bit and like can interact with other people on the colony. Or in Gundam Wing's case, just other people. Promise I'm just doing the head and then we're gonna skip ahead because y'all are smart. Y'all get the gist. And I do graphite transfers pretty frequently for like convention watercolors. He kind of looks like a transformer is really how I feel. When the person who said he looked weird said he looked weird, I didn't disagree. Like I agree, but I think he looks weird because he looks like a transformer, not like a Gundam really. That would have been cool. I'm sure there is a fire truck transformer. But my brother's not that into Transformers, so we're gonna do Gundam. Maybe I should have done Solid Snake instead. Anyway, alright, I'm gonna skip ahead. I'll see you guys on the other side. Okay, so graphite transfer should be finished. Would one of y'all mind doing a drum roll for me? Look, it actually showed up! So it's really faint, which is okay, because we just wanted a way to get our sketch onto this black paper and save ourselves some erasing. So we have a couple, I'm going to save this, because this is going to be important later on. It's going to be my key. So we have a couple of different options. We can tighten this up using graphite, or we can use a colored lead, like this orange lead, which would look like this. It shows up really good. Or we could try the white ceramic lead. I'm going to save the white ceramic lead for another video. So what I want to do is I want to tighten up the sketch. I want to add some more flames. I want to get my lettering in. So I'm going to start with the lettering. And we're assuming this is the front of the cap. This is the back of the cap. So we want our lettering here. So I'm gonna, so we have to get Devon Hilburn all on one line. That seems crazy. Actually, let's be smart. Let's be smart and use a ruler. I don't like rulers, if you can't tell. But that's okay, because I can't draw a straight line to save my life. We'll do it really, really light, because that's going to show up later. It will erase. These colored leads that I have, I've used them for a really long time. Maybe not so much yellow and orange, but pink and blue, I use them a lot. And they do erase. These are Pilot Color Eno leads. And I want 2019 down here. That G of a 9. And I hate how thin we're gonna have to get all this. Is not my ideal. Could have done the line thinner actually, but that's okay. So this is not a service I would generally offer for a lot of reasons, but one of them is I would actually charge a lot of money to do this because it's one of those things that has to be done until you do it right. So if I mess up 8 times, I'm going to do it 8 times, right? It also requires design skills and specialized expertise. And I'm not saying like other people can't do this. I'm saying if I were to do graduation cap commissions, I would charge about $200 for them. But since this is my younger brother, can't say baby brother, but my younger brother, it is a gift that I'm very happy to give him. He's actually going to see one of the Gundam movies in the theater this week. If I was in town, I'd go with him. They went to see one of the Ghibli documentaries with me. Everybody but me and my aunt were bored out of their gourds, but that's okay. They didn't have to go. I paid for their tickets. They could have stayed home. I could have taken a $50 lift into Metairie to watch it. Okay, I don't like that V. So. Haha. It doesn't erase 100% perfectly either. It's something we need to keep in mind. And I'm just kind of blocking in the letters as I go. Helps with placement. And I actually don't care. I'm not aiming to get them all the same height. There's like a handmade aspect to this that I really want to embrace. So I'm going to finish lettering his name in the class of 2019, and then we'll start working on tightening up the sketch of this Gundam firefighter putting out the flames. Okay, so we've got it tight penciled. Let's do a double check. This is the front of the cap. So far, so good. I think it's going to look really cool. So next time, we are going to work on starting this with POSCA. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to just block in the general shapes, which is why it's important for me to keep that graphite transfer on hand and maybe take some photos of this so I have reference, because details are going to get lost and I'm going to add them back in during the process. So this sort of thing takes some patience. It takes the ability to work with the piece. So if you're doing this at home, don't get discouraged. Just keep pushing through and give yourself ample time to work on something like this.